What's up, y'all, and welcome back to my universe. Thank y'all for tuning in. Please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Today's video is not going to directly be related to my pregnancy, but I do think it's really beneficial for where I am right now in my spiritual self-love journey. Also in my pregnancy, but again, not directly related to my pregnancy. But before we dive deep into the video, I do want to first just acknowledge this cute little pajama set that I have on. I've actually had this pajama set pre-pregnancy, and I've worn it like, I would say maybe twice. But I just think it's really cute. It's really comfortable. My own little coconut. It's so shiny, and y'all, believe it or not, I have not even moisturized my stomach. This came from a scrub that I used in the shower, and it just has my stomach looking like this. It's so pretty. But anyway, I got this pajama set. This is a size small. I got this pajama set from a site called Chicklina Babe. I actually began collaborating with them pre-pregnancy. The romper pajama set that I wore in episode 2 in the beginning of the video was also from this website, along with the Clara French dress that I had on in that episode. And I think both of those were size smalls, if I'm not mistaken. But nevertheless, if you like those pieces, just go ahead and use the link down below. It's also located in my bio on Instagram. Shop. And you can also utilize my discount code to receive 15% off, which is Giselle, Jazel. I do intend on doing a haul eventually, but I just haven't got around to it yet. I felt like this video was much more important prior to me getting into all of that. So this is an added clip from something that I forgot to mention earlier on in the video, because I don't think I ever really explained the title Grow With Me. Grow With Me is not only in relation to growing with me during pregnancy, it's also in relation to mental health, to parenting, daily life. I do intend to have fashion hauls. I intend to do tea time, so it's just not limited to pregnancy. So much more than that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Love y'all. Thank you for all the new subscribers. Thank you for your love, your support. I really appreciate it. Keep watching. So, as I previously mentioned, this video will not directly be related to my pregnancy. It'll more so be in relation to me being able to overcome heartbreak, grief, mental health, just things of that nature. So, if in any way you feel like this video may be triggering to you or you're not ready for it, I highly suggest that you just go ahead and click off now, because even some of the stuff that I am discussing in this video, I have not even discussed with people outside of my therapist and my best friend. So, I mean, some stuff may still be sensitive to me, but I think this is my way of being able to release, let go, and just move forward from what I've known for so long, like what I've been just used to all of my life. And also, I want to say, if there's anyone that may watch this video and feel offense to anything that I may talk about, I don't apologize for it at all, because again, it's my story. This is what I had to encounter. This is what I had to deal with, and I'm ready to release and let go. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and just start. What else did I want to mention? It's really giving like tired ass mama right now, but it's like 11 o'clock at night. So if I am being completely honest, I just want to let you guys know that in my first episode, I lied. A lot of people are under the impression that that episode, my gender reveal episode, was my first episode, and it actually was not. I started my YouTube channel back in March, but I did not like advertise it or anything like that just because I wasn't as confident as I am now. I still was speaking from a place of shame, of doubt, of fear, and I wasn't completely ready. So I did delete those videos from my channel, and now I do wish I would have kept them just to show you guys like how far I've come from then to now. I do intend on being just really open and transparent during this video, so I do feel the need to just give a backstory on my mental health. In 2012, which was my senior year of high school, we would have these, I think they were students from FSU that would come and just have sessions with kids that were interested in speaking about their current circumstances. So I did volunteer to do it. I can't remember if it was like during the lunch period or during like third period. So if I'm just being honest, I think it was during third period, and I don't think I liked my third period, so I just really wanted to get out of class. They kind of told me that it's possible I would have a diagnosis of generalized anxiety and depression, but I didn't take that serious at all, just because I felt like it was more so the environment that I was in that was causing me to have the feelings that I was having, as opposed to something being wrong. So once I graduated high school, I did end up getting out of my environment then and moving into another environment, which I do feel like I felt better. But once I got pregnant with my daughter, which was a year later, the things started coming right back up. Started to see a therapist during my pregnancy because I had gone through some experiences that really just took me back. And they did diagnose me officially with generalized anxiety and post-traumatic stress disorder. And even then, I went through a period of denial just because I didn't feel like I acted in a way of having post-traumatic stress. And then also it's just like the things that you see on TV about people with post-traumatic stress, it comes off, or people label you as crazy. And I just didn't want to have that label on for people to judge me as being crazy or mentally just unstable. But throughout the remainder of my pregnancy, I became just like really, really, really stressed, to the point where I gave birth to my daughter a month early, just from how stressed I was. And I think that the official diagnosis definitely contributed to that stress, but I had to be able to accept it and try to work through it. And once I had my daughter, boom, postpartum depression hit, which I thought also was just unreal. But baby, when I'm telling you, when I say hit hard, hit different. For those who are not familiar with the term PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, these are some of the signs and symptoms that may occur. So on camera, in pictures, it looked really good. It did. But it was bad. Like, it was horrible. And I felt so bad because I knew that it wasn't all about me anymore. I had a daughter that I had to provide for and take care of. So I really was just living to get through the day. for my daughter at that point. When my daughter turned 4 months old, we moved to a different city with another family member, like 4 or 5 hours away. And initially, everything all good. Things just snowballed, and to the point where I felt like it was better for me to move back home than to stay where I was. So literally on my daughter's first birthday, we were driving back to hometown. And since I wasn't as financially stable as I needed to be to get my own place, I went back to a toxic relationship thinking that, okay, now that there's been space in between and time, then I could probably try to really make this family thing work. And that was probably one of the worst decisions that I could have made, but at the time it felt like the best one. I ended up getting pregnant a year later with my son still. That's when I decided to go back to therapy. And going back to therapy, boom, they added another diagnosis onto what I was already diagnosed with, which was bipolar disorder. And at that point, it was just like, I just felt numb. Like, whatever y'all say I got, cool. Just what do I do to get through this at this point? Because if not, this gonna take me out, like, for real. Here are a few myths and facts about bipolar disorder. I knew there was lessons in me being pregnant at that time too. Just like with my first pregnancy, it's just that I wasn't trying to really learn those lessons. I still was ignoring everything that I was supposed to be learning. I felt like everything outside of me was going to make me feel better when it didn't. So now that we have that out the way, I think I can officially begin to answer the questions that I have. I do have a couple of questions here that I am going to answer just in regards to what's up, what's going on now. And the only reason that this specific question is blue is because I ran out of the pink index cards. So don't think this is like no bonus or special question or anything like that that's singled out from the rest of them. The first question being brought to the leopard pillow is, when did you begin your journey? I started my journey in January of 2019, so almost 2 years now. And initially it was just on a surface level, really just pulling back my energy from things that were draining me mentally, emotionally, physically. I sat in isolation for like the first 6 months of 2019 because the ending of 2018 was hard, like really hard. Like I was really in a dark space at the end of 2018. The second question asks, what do you feel ignited your self-healing journey? Was it your past or desire for the future? I would say that it was a little bit of both. Like, there were days that I experienced that were just so dark, I couldn't even get out of bed. I would make excuses for not being able to go to work. I couldn't tend to my children as much as I needed to tend to my children. And I just knew that something better had to be in store. There was no way that I was supposed to be living my life the way that I was living it. Just being miserable day in and day out. Yes, I did have good days, but majority of those days were dark and they were sad. And I was just exhausted from that. Like, I couldn't deal with it no more. Like, something had to give. 2, there was no benefit in it for my children at all. Like, they definitely deserved a mother that could tend to their every need, not just be selfish with how I was feeling. I mean, not to say that I was a bad mother or anything like that, because I've always tended to my children. It's just that I don't feel like I was giving them as much as I could have. And I knew eventually me sitting and being selfish with how I felt would eventually, affect them in a way that I definitely didn't want for them. So I knew I just had to take the steps to get myself together for not only myself, but for them as well. Oh, child, I feel like I already done worked up an appetite. So the third question asks, do you study or practice a certain religion? Did not take us to church. So I would go to church like with my auntie. And even early on, I didn't take church as serious just because church felt boring to me. I really didn't understand what was going on. It wasn't until I graduated high school and moved with my dad's sister that I started taking church a little bit more seriously, and we were practicing Christianity. But now I don't limit myself to a certain religion. Yes, I do believe in God, a higher power, and things of that nature, but I don't limit my journey to anyone else's opinions or judgment. You know, I'm experiencing things for myself. So I'm more spiritual than religious. I do apologize if I'm saying a lot, but that's just that's just the real of it right now. But question number 4 is a 2-part question, and it asks, do you recall your first traumatic experience? When did you first close your heart, and to whom? So this question was actually presented to me earlier on this year, and for quite a long time I did not have an answer. So I wrote the question down in my journal, but I left the page blank for like months because I honestly did not know. This question did push me a lot deeper into my spiritual journey. But one day I was in meditation, sitting outside, and I finally overcame the fear of answering the question, and I just asked out loud, like, question. And it instantly came to me like a picture in my head. And luckily I've already had like a heart-to-heart conversation with my dad, but I don't think I've ever told him this exact story. But so I recall, I don't remember my like exact age, but I don't think I was over 5 or 6. Yeah. And it was a day where the fair was in town. It actually was the last day of the fair. My daddy, for some reason, will always wait till the last day of the fair. You know, he was on the phone with my mama, just letting my mama know to get me ready, that he was going to come and pick me up, take me to the fair. And I was just so excited, for one, not only to go to the fair, but to see my daddy. And I knew, you know what I'm saying, once my mama did my hair, baby, who? Yeah, so of course, you know, my mama got me dressed. She did my hair. And when I looked in the mirror, I just felt like I was so beautiful. I was, again, so excited, ready to see my daddy. I know my daddy was going to like my hair. I know he was going to like what I had on, and just excited to really spend that time with him. I ended up sitting on the porch for, felt like hours, and every car that came around the corner, it just wasn't my daddy. And I remember my mama kept coming outside, just asking me like, you okay? You want to come in? And I kept telling her like, no, you know, I'm all right. He should be coming in a minute. And eventually, like, it started getting dark, and my dad still hadn't showed up. I don't know if my mama called him to ask him, you know, like where he was at, was he coming or anything. But I still remember just like sitting out there waiting. And eventually, you know, she made me come in the house. And she told me like, you know, even though he didn't come, I still can take you to the store and, you know, buy you a toy or get you some candy or whatever. And I agreed to do that. And in the moment, it made me feel better. But overall, I still just had so many questions as to like, why didn't he come? Was it because I wasn't beautiful? Was it because something was more important to me and I don't want to start crying? You know, I just felt like, you know, I wasn't important enough for him to actually set aside whatever it was that he was doing, whatever it was he had going on, to actually take that time to spend with me. You know what I'm saying? So from that day forward, I don't know, it's just like, I just felt like I could no longer really trust. I could no longer. From that day forward is where I feel like I developed the sense of like not being able to trust, like that fear of abandonment, because like my adrenaline was so high, I was so excited, and then when he didn't come, it was just like a letdown. And yeah, so I developed like a sense of not feeling worthy. I felt just, I don't really know how to explain it, but I felt really bad. And from that day forward, I would always like get my hopes up so high whenever somebody would tell me they would do something for me, or if somebody came into my life saying that they was going to be there for me. It always did something to me, like when they abandoned me, when they left, when they neglected me, when they walked away. And you know, now I'm actually getting to a point where I can't I'm getting to a point where I can actually be okay when people walk away from me. And it still hurts a little bit because, you know, it's still something fresh, but, you know, I know I'm growing. So, yeah, that was my first traumatic experience that play on in relationships and friendships, family dynamic. Like, I went through abandonment every time, like every time. And I think I was supposed to go through that though, just to make me as strong as I am to be present for my own children. And I'm not, you know, shaming or blaming my daddy, because I understand that he had his own traumatic experiences too. But it doesn't take away from what I felt. And materialistically, my dad gave me what I wanted, the new shoes, you know, polos and this and that and the third. But it's just emotionally, I felt like I was robbed, you know. From that first experience, I felt like I vibrated on a level that kind of attracted more of that into my life. I just dealt with getting my hopes up just to be let down, having that sense of or that fear of abandonment, of rejection, of neglect. And yeah, it played on up until now. Like, I'm now feeling like I've grown enough to be in a space where I don't fear those things no more. I'm okay with people not staying, because that just shows me that those people are not meant to stay. Those people are not meant to go where I'm going. And, you know, I mean, it's only up from here. Question number 5, what have been the hardest lessons to learn or unlearn so far? For me, I would say the hardest lesson to learn was letting go. Like, I used to cling on to people, experiences, to the point where it was more detrimental to me. Very, very, very hard for me, because I had that fear of abandonment. So I tried to hold on to anything that I felt was important in my life, even when it didn't want to stay. Outside of like my traumatic experiences, I didn't know how to identify myself. Like, I had no sense of identity at all. If anyone was to ask me back then, like, who I was, that's what I would talk about. But now I know my experiences are not what make me. I know now that I am worthy. I am beautiful from the inside and out. I am special. I am unique. And I'm going places. Question number 6 asks, how have relationships, whether romantic, platonic, or family, supported or hindered your growth? Outside of my dad, there were definitely other family members that contributed to my heartbreak, even my mom. But again, I am in no way trying to shame or hold them accountable for those experiences, just because I too understand that they've gone through traumatic things that they just have not been able to process or feared actually diving deep into. So they may not even be aware of how their actions in turn affected me. And my family is my family, and I love everybody. And I just am in a place where I don't even need the sympathy, because this is my story, and I'm responsible for growing and getting through that. And I had to really learn the act of forgiveness and what it means to unconditionally love. So I wouldn't say that my family hindered me. Now, as far as romantic relationships and platonic, that's a different story. Especially with romantic relationships, because I think I definitely attracted people who did nothing but trigger me, because I was unhealed. I was unaware of just how manipulative people can be, that everyone does not have the same heart that I have. And I think I've only had 2 serious relationships, but even outside of those relationships, I think that I gave people the ammo to use against me, and they used it. They used it. Like, they really played on my emotions and my trauma. So I do think that those relationships, friendships, hindered my growth, because it kept me in a low space, always wondering what was wrong with me. Why did I have to overextend myself so much just to please somebody else? Wanting to show people my worth when that wasn't even necessary. Obviously, those weren't the people for me. Number 7, what doubts do you have about your willingness to continue this sort of journey? Right now, I can say I don't have any doubts, because I know my strength. I know I have what it takes in me to keep moving forward, no matter what. But initially, I can say that my biggest fear, or my doubt, was knowing whether or not I was strong enough to actually see everything that I wasn't seeing before. Because you just learn so much, you unlearn so much, and people mistakenly think that when you're on a self-love journey that everything is on an up and up, and no, it's not. It's definitely not at all. It's like really messy. It's a roller coaster. Sometimes you take a step back. Sometimes you feel defeated. Sometimes you just feel like, is this really worth me still going through all this pain? But now, definitely worth it. Definitely worth it. And I just know I'm not only doing this for me, I'm doing this for my family as a whole. I'm doing this for next generations to come. I'm doing this for my children, you know what I'm saying? So I'm doing this for more reasons than to just say that I healed, which, it's great to be healed or whatever, but, I'm doing it for a bigger purpose overall. So I just think that no matter what, I'm going to keep pushing forward, and I'm going to take it how it comes. Just knowing, like I said, that some things will always be sensitive to talk about. Like, I didn't expect for me to start crying when I told the story about, my first traumatic experience, because I've talked about it with my therapist. I've talked about it with my best friend. I've talked about it like with myself. So I thought that in this video, I would be able to, just easily let it flow, but it still hits a certain spot in my heart, you know what I'm saying? But it's not like I'm still holding on to it. I acknowledge it and I let it go, you know what I'm saying? But it still hurts, you know what I'm saying? So that's just the example. But yeah, I don't have any doubts at this point in my journey, because I have tremendously grown from not only a year ago, but a couple of months ago, a couple of weeks ago, a couple of days ago. So yeah, I'm gonna keep moving. Question number 8: what are things to remember when you experience tough days? So on my tough days, I definitely have to remember how far I've come, to know that my days are not dark like they were before, that I'm not stuck in bed all day sitting in shit, pretty much. I know that all days will not be sunshines and rainbows. Like, it has to rain sometimes in order for the grass to grow. So I accept my emotions as they come. I will sit in it for a couple of hours or that day or however long it take. And then on that next day, I know that I have to keep moving forward. So I just don't suppress my feelings anymore, because, you know, growing up, I was told that, oh, it's disrespectful to express your feelings to an adult, or at least, you know, that's how my grandma and my dad made it feel. Like I was wrong for being angry. I was wrong for being sad. I was wrong for being frustrated. So now I don't neglect the negative emotions, so to speak, because all emotions are needed. You're a human. You are supposed to feel. You're supposed to express. So just imagine you going years and years and years with all of these emotions that you try to suppress, not really being your true authentic self, how that's definitely going to affect you, not only mentally, but physically, emotionally. Like, it's very draining. So I just have to remember that I am me, I am human, and another day will come to where the sun shines again. And I also just have to remember to breathe. Like, sometimes it takes for me to just sit in pure quietness, no distractions, and just inhale and exhale. Not only that, since there are a lot of things that are coming out of you while you're healing, emotions, etc., to also pour back into yourself. So I started to eat cleaner, to drink more water, to take sit down baths, to take a walk, to, you know, be out in the sun, you know, just things of that nature that really made me feel good, you know. So yeah, I just have to remember that there are things that can be done to uplift my mood. Question number 9: have you incorporated art therapy, music therapy, or even aromatherapy into your journey on a consistent basis? If so, how impactful has it been? This little boy just, oof, he up, y'all. But yeah, so answering the question, professionally, no, I haven't like attended like any art therapy or music therapy classes, or reached out to like a professional who deals with that. If we're talking about like in my personal space, of course I've incorporated these things. Like, as far as the art therapy, I think that comes into play with my children. My children are very creative children, especially my daughter. Like, she loves to color, paint, draw. So some days I do sit down with her and we do coloring pages, or with my son we'll do Play-Doh, and you know, so yeah, I definitely do tap into my inner child when it comes to the art and creative aspect. As far as music, I've always loved music, but I can say that music has definitely become much more important to me now, because I listen to music with more of an intention. So in the morning when I'm first waking up, I wake up to meditation, just to put me in a peaceful mind state waking up. And then, you know, I have a playlist of artists that I really resonate with, and who speak to me, who provide, messages, and that can just relate to the things that I've been through as well. So yes, music is one of the big ones. Like, music is life. As far as aromatherapy, I spoke about my favorite candles in my last video. So also, if y'all have not yet gone and checked that out, I definitely recommend that you do. I actually have in this little elephant up here, that is a wax melter. So I actually have wax in there right now that's melting. It smells good in here. And I definitely do intend on taking that wax melter to the hospital with me, because I know that it's going to give me a sense of comfort during labor and delivery. So yeah, that would be my personal little therapies. Question number 10. We are almost done, y'all. Like, there's only 12 questions, so we get down to the nitty and the gritty. So question number 10 asks, does being a single parent make it more difficult to heal? I would say yes and no. Yes, because when you are healing, it still does not mean that you can just neglect your responsibilities as a parent. You still have to bathe your children, feed your children, listen to whatever it is they want to talk about in that moment. So whenever I feel like I'm in a place to where I can't control my emotions, or I'm just like that frustrated, I will separate myself from my kids first. Like, I will go in my room and just let them know to give me a minute, or I'll take a shower, or I'll wait till they go to bed. I just don't sit and show my weak emotions in front of my children, just because I feel that in return it affects them in a way, because they don't understand the responsibilities as an adult, what all that you're going through, what all goes on behind the scenes when you're trying to feed them, when you're trying to bathe them. So I think that does make it a little bit more difficult, because again, you're not only having to consider self, you're having to consider people that you brought into this world, and just how you don't want them to ever feel how you felt when your needs were not met as a child. And then I would say no, because my children also are the reason that I decided to heal. So they give me motivation in a sense as well. I know that, like I just said, I never want my children to feel how I felt when my needs were not met as a child, whether that's physically or emotionally. So I try to make sure that I'm doing whatever it is I can to show my children that I support them, that I love them, that I'm going to be here, that I just wouldn't leave them off the strength of not being able to heal. You know what I'm saying? I want to heal so that they don't have to encounter any of the pain. I mean, I know I'm not going to be able to save them from everything, but whatever I can, I'm going to do my best to do that. So yes and no. Question number 11. Is starting a relationship during a healing journey a good thing or a bad thing? A distraction or motivation? For me, bad. Would not recommend. 0 out of 100. Don't do it. Like, no. Because again, I just didn't know my triggers when I was getting into these relationships, situationships. I still was attracting the same type of people that I pretty much grew up to know. Like, people who would eventually use me for my energy, use me for my body, use me for whatever it is they wanted to use me for, and then eventually they would leave me. And then that would leave me feeling, less than, because now I done gave so much and didn't get nothing back. So for me, relationships right now, I ain't even, like, even like I said, I only had 2 serious relationships, and those relationships took a lot out of me. They manipulated and abused me as much as they could. Not physically, but like emotionally, mentally, took me through there. Couldn't, no. Even with this child's father, it still were things that I wasn't seeing when I first started talking to him. And just now, you know, looking back on how I still made mistakes. I still was learning when I met him that, yeah, if now, you know what I'm saying? And again, I don't regret my baby at all, but I knew that there was a lesson that came with this baby. So that's why I did decide to move forward. And yeah, I mean, hopefully he will be a better father than previous. But yeah, just as far as relationship wise, no go. Because it's always like, I would get into these relationships, situationships, and even before doing like anything, I would let these people know, like, look, if you don't have no good intentions for me, leave me alone. Or I would make them like sit in my inbox for months, years even, and they still would just come around and play games, like get whatever they wanted and then say, oh, well, I ain't ready, you know, you too this or you too that. And just like, you knew that before you start messing with me. Why would you even come bothering me if you knew you wasn't ready, or if you had no intentions on staying? Like, just a waste of my time. We too old for that. Like, anyway, definitely moving on from that question. Distraction. But, you know, if you meet somebody that's secure and they actually have good intentions for you, by all means, jump head first. But for me personally, would not recommend, once again. Final question, y'all. Question number 12. I feel like it took forever to get here. Started at the bottom, now we here. Started at the bottom, now my whole team. Okay, let me stop. All right, so question number 12. How do you know your journey is finished? Once you start a journey, I don't think your journey is ever finished. I look at life as a book, and you have a lot of different chapters. So, you know, right now, I think I am finishing a chapter because I'm able to let go and release my past, but this is only propelling me forward into a new chapter. And I mean, even at age 50, you're still learning new things. You have a different purpose at that age. So I just don't think it's no end game once you start your journey. And I have grown to learn that there is nothing outside of me. There is nobody that I need to close a chapter for me on a book that only I've been reading. It's my life. It's what I've had to go through. It's what I've had to learn about me. It's what I've had to experience. So I just don't think your journey ever really ends. So yes, guys, this finally completes the video. I am so happy that I was able to get through this. I have wanted to finally get this video out for so long, but I just feel so accomplished now that I've answered all the questions. And you know, my DM on Instagram is always open to more questions. If there's anything that I may have missed in this video, if there's anything that you would like to know more about, I mean, I guess I can go into a little tea video about how these relationships really played a factor into my life. But child, will be here until I give birth if we gonna sit here and talk about that. And I just ain't got time. Like, I'm ready to go to sleep. So again, if you like this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, comment, share, subscribe, whatever you feel called to do. Go ahead to do it. I do not mind at all. I thank y'all for tuning in. Until next episode.